So I'll go ahead and get started since we're at 5:30 and we have quorum. Call to order the regular May 2nd, 2024 LFUCG Ethics Commission meeting. We got a full agenda, so we'll jump right into it. The first item on our agenda is the reassessment of Advisory Opinion 2024-001. My recollection is that the confidentiality on this one was waived. And we have with us again, Vice Mayor Wu. Thank you for joining us again.
Thank you.
This part of the reassessment is largely related to the website issue that we'd addressed in the previous discussion. Flowing out of that discussion, there was some, I would say, hesitancy or concern based on the fact that some council members or aides might be able to edit, change, add to, provide content for the LFUCG's website, and that was at least some level of question about the extent to which that could take place, and certainly one of the topics of discussion even after we came out of closed session was, Vice Mayor Wu, a question that you had raised about bios, where necessarily council members, their aides could make recommendations. And I think that one of the statements that came from one of our commission members was that that's something that the general public could not do. And therefore, if those changes were made by council members, it should be done cautiously so that there was not an air of impropriety. Subsequent to that, and Ashley Bailey is here with us tonight, the law department apparently met with the digital content administrator to get a little better understanding for the commission as to the extent to which council members and aides, et cetera, could edit other parts of the website. Ashley, would you be able to speak to that a little bit? I know that was part of the agenda packet. I don't know if everyone had an opportunity to review that.
Yes. So just as a general practice, when we go to draft any opinions for the Ethics Commission to review and approve, we do, just general research to make sure that we have the proper information to add to it so that we can have the best opinion for purposes of what the facts are and what that's going to be about. So we reached out to the PIO's office just to get the, concrete, what exactly do council members or their aides have control over. And there is absolutely an element of approval by the PIO's office that is required before any edits or changes could be made to any of the pages on the LFUCG website. But they do have access, which is kind of the key word that was thrown around at the last meeting that this was discussed at, that the general public doesn't have access, but also anything that the council members would have the power to influence or alter. And so based on that, the law department felt that with that additional facts and the language that was used with the commission coming to their decision, it just needed to be revisited in order to make sure that whatever the decision of the commission is based on the totality of the facts is reflected correctly in the opinion. Whether that changes or not is up to the commission, but certainly being a public opinion as well, we want to make sure that the correct precedent is set. So it's our duty as the department, when we have facts, to bring that back to the commission to make sure that you all can make the most informed decision.
And Ashley, let's give thanks to the law department for doing that for us. We really appreciate it. I guess while we're still in open session before we might go into closed session, does anyone have any comments for Vice Mayor Wu or questions? I know that there was extensive comment and question time before, but in case there's any updates or any further questions before we entertain a motion to go into closed session. Hearing none and seeing no hands, Vice Mayor Wu, do you have any additional thoughts and comments?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that I'm also clear on and on the same page with our law department as well. The way I've always interpreted sort of our influence on these pages is by and large, I think in terms of best practice, none of us are going around trying to change other LFUCG pages. The only ones that we're generally concerned with updating is our own page. So if I am put on a new board or commission, I would contact, I think Amy Wallet is does the website. I would say, hey, now I'm on such and such committee, or I'm no longer on this commission. Can you change and update that? So there's always, as far as I understand, that layer of accountability and kind of oversight. If I'm not able to, or my aide is not able to put something on my own page without somebody else seeing it, like we can't hit publish and make that happen. And so far as the other pages, I feel like our influence on it is maybe comparable to the public in that, let's say I'm looking at the parks page and it says, Kenwick Community Center is being used for such and such meeting on Wednesdays. And I know for a fact that, no, that meeting doesn't happen anymore. I would recommend a change to Amy and say, hey, this information is on here is not correct. And then they would go about correcting it if that is true. So I feel like that's the kind of thing that the public could do if they wanted to contact us and say, hey, information on this page isn't right. Would you correct it? And then the PIO's office would look into it and correct it if need be. So that's kind of my take on sort of our influence or our relationship with the LFUCG pages. But Ashley or Michael can correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, my understanding, and I don't disagree with you, my understanding, just going a bit beyond that, is that there is an ability to access it. Now, if in editing that would not be published without permission. So
correct.
That's the only thing I would add. And obviously the Ethics Commission will take what you just said and consider that, I'm sure, in their deliberations.
Yeah, and to me, Ashley, the ability to edit versus the ability to recommend an edit is kind of just a process thing. And if something like that, if the difference between those two things is influential or holds up this commission's decision making, I would not be opposed to suggest as a best practice for council that we don't have direct edit access, that we always have to basically make an edit request to the PIO, to whoever handles the website. The result of those two methods, though, at the moment is exactly the same in that they still have final oversight and final publish authority, and we don't. So, like I said, if that's something that hinges on your decision, I think that's a council rule or a best practice that we could potentially change because it doesn't really impact us either way in terms of the process. So I just want to put that out there.
In that regard, I do have a question. Who gets to approve whether or not the recommendation is accepted?
Ashley, do you know who is the actual person that makes the edits? I want to say it's Amy Wallet, but I don't know that 100%.
Yeah, and she has the authority to. I think there's several people in the PIO's office that have the authority to.
Okay. That's all the questions I have right now. Does any of the other commission members have any questions? And for that matter, Vice Mayor Wood, do you have any other comments?
No, I think that's pretty much it. I appreciate the clarification and I appreciate the amount of thought that you are putting into this. So,
hearing and seeing no additional comments, I will entertain from the commission a motion to go into closed session to further debate this.
Well, I'll make the motion then. I move to go into closed session pursuant to KRS 61.810 subsection 1 F and J as discussion of AO 2024-001 may lead to the appointment, discipline, or dismissal of an employee, member, or officer and contains deliberation of a quasi-judicial body regarding individual adjudications.
I
And I
second.
think Kristen
Can you
I'll
do that?
second,
second
and
Can you
too.
do
maybe
that, Greg?
Dolores. Yes, we've got a lot of
We
seconds.
both
This is
second,
good.
yes.
All in favor of going in closed session, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Very good. We will go into closed session then. No opposed. We're going out, coming out. Did we lose Mayor Wu, Vice Mayor Wu?
Yep, he did. I told him that we'd give him the update tomorrow. So if you want to make the motion, I can
Okay,
play
perfect.
it.
So we're now out of closed session. Do I have a motion for consideration of reassessment of advisory opinion 2024-001?
Yes, I have a motion, Mr. Chairman. I move that the commission recommend, upon reconsideration of the issue, that council members may link to an LFUCG website for campaign purposes, provided that the link is to a page otherwise available to the public. Furthermore, the commission would like to recommend that instead of having direct control over the edits of pages to which campaign websites might link, that council members can recommend edits to those pages. But those recommendations would have to be approved by others within the urban county government. And that edits and changes to the web pages that are linked from campaign sites, that council members use caution to make sure that the edits and changes to those web pages are not in any way inappropriate to the council members' official duties or to raise other questions about impropriety.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Seconded.
We have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Next item on our agenda is consideration of AO 2024-004. It is a request from Councilmember Brown, who was with us but now has had to leave. I will entertain a motion if it pleases the commission to take this item off of this meeting's docket to be rescheduled at a time convenient for Councilmember Brown and the commission.
If it pleases the chair, I'd ask to make a motion to strike this from our docket and agenda today, as Mr. Brown is no longer present. And it would be better for the commission to have access to Mr. Brown to both explain his request, answer any questions, et cetera. And I would propose that we ask to check in with Mr. Brown about recalendering this for our next meeting.
Very good. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Got Brenda was the first arm, second up that I saw. All in favor, any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next item on the agenda is consideration of AO 2024-06. This is a new advisory opinion request from Councilmember Gray.
I'll let her in right now.
Okay,
I gave her a warning. That was enough of a warning.
and I believe Kerry was going to recuse himself, so we can.
And I need to recuse. So do I need to be removed from the room?
I don't know, law.
That's typically done, yes.
Okay, I will remove you then. Bye, Carrie. See you in a minute.
I'll hang out and I'll be here when appropriate. All right.
Okay.
Councilmember Gray, welcome.
Hello. Thank you for having me, I think.
No problem. So this is one in which confidentiality was not waived. And so I will entertain a motion to go into closed session to maintain the confidentiality of the request.
So I move to go into closed session pursuant to KRS 61.810 subsection 1 F and J as discussion of AO 2024-006 may lead to the appointment, discipline, or dismissal of an employee, member, or officer and contains deliberations of a quasi judicial body regarding individual adjudication.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Christine with the second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Closed session it is.
Amendment.
Yes, yes.
We are recording. We have, someone might want to make a motion to come out of, admit everybody now.
Okay, so if we could bring Carrie in and Councilmember Brown. So we're back in open session. Carrie, Councilmember Brown has actually been able to join us. And so both you and I are going into, I'm going to recuse myself as well. Carrie, you discussed previously that you were going to recuse yourself from Councilmember Brown's request. Dave, were you going to take over the chairperson
Sure. Yes.
position responsibilities? Councilmember Brown, thank you for joining us. I'm going to let Dave take over the chair, and he will have it for consideration of your advisory opinion request. Thank you for joining us.
No. Well, welcome, Councilmember Brown. Thank you for joining us and thank you for bringing this question to us. Our normal procedure is to allow the person requesting an opinion from the commission to provide a brief statement and talk a bit about the question that you would like the commission to offer an opinion on. So if you give us some background information, we would appreciate it.
Hold on.
Yes, sir. Do I need to come off or do I need to have my camera on?
Yes, if you would. Thank you.
I think we need to go into closed session for this. So if somebody could make a motion to do that.
Yes, would someone make a motion to go into closed session before Councilperson Brown offers up some observations and information?
So moved.
But we have a motion to go into closed session pursuant to KRS 61.810 subsection 1 F and J. Do I have a second?
Seconded.
All those in favor? The motion passed. So we are now in closed session.
Be back in. Okay, we're back.
Okay.
Oh, AJ, you're muted.
So there was no coup or otherwise attempt to overthrow the normal leadership of the commission. So AJ, you're back in charge.
Okay, so we ready? We're about to start the rocket docket for those lawyers out there. Okay, next on the agenda item, I guess, is approval of the draft of advisory opinion 2024-02. Has everyone had a chance to look at that? It's a confidential opinion, so keep that in mind as to any comments, but hearing no comments, I'll entertain a motion for the commission to approve. Yes, Dave.
I would like to make a motion to amend, add a language at the end of our recommendation that the request and opinion be provided to the Civil Service Commission for further review.
Okay,
But can I do this? I would like to propose an additional sentence for consideration by the commission.
very good. Keep in mind, this is a confidential.
Do we need to go in closed session for me to say this? Make this motion?
Let's do so. That would be easier. You
I
have
think
the
it might
motion
be-
handy. Yes.
Yes, I move we go into closed session. Pursuant to KRS 61.810 subsection 1 F and J for discussion of AO 2024-00 what, 2? Since it may lead to the appointment, discipline, or dismissal of an employee, member, or officer, and contains the deliberation of a quasi-judicial body regarding individual adjudications.
Very good. Thank you, Dave. We have a motion. Do I have a second? Delora and Christine both seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Can we slide into closed session? Out of closed session. Okay, the next item is consideration of approval of advisory opinion 2024-003. This is also a confidential opinion. This is one that Carrie was chair on. I was recusing myself. Do I have a motion to go into closed session to consider approval or any amendments to AO 2024-03? Delora moved. Do I have a second? Christine second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
The index.
Okay, next on, oh. Do we need to have a motion to approve that in open session?
Yes.
Yeah,
So,
No,
I-
it's confidential.
well, we can just approve it as written and not
Yes.
say,
yeah, I think that's,
I will entertain a motion to approve AO 2024-03 as written. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Carrie moved. I
Second.
have David as second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you all. Motion carries. Next on the agenda, we have approval of, or consideration and approval of non-confidential opinion AO 2024-05. Any thoughts, comments, consideration of this?
I move acceptance of the opinion as written.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Delora second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have approval of our minutes from the February 1, 2024 canceled meeting and the February 2024 special meeting that was prepared and presented as part of your packet. Any comments, additions, deletions?
I move acceptance of the minutes.
We have a motion to accept. Do I have a second? Second,
Second.
Delora. Any further discussion? Approval signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, y'all. Next item on the agenda, the ethics tip line. Ashley, will you be presenting on that?
You're
Or
saying
Mackenzie?
if there's, I don't have anything to present. If you have any questions, I do have, you know, it's just for your information more than anything. But
Okay,
if there's any questions, I can certainly look into anything for you.
okay. Does anyone have any questions related to the ethics tip line from the materials presented in the packet? Ashley, thanks for putting that together. Ethics tip line discussion is the next item on our agenda. I read the memo. It was a memo of April 15th, 2024 from Evan about a matter that popped up in 2023. He had mentioned this generally in previous ethics committee meetings. I read the description. I found that what the law department did was appropriate and consistent with the Ethics Act. Did anyone have any questions, comments, concerns?
I move that the commission ratify the actions taken by the Legal Affairs Department and the Legal Department in regards to this matter involving standing consulting services.
Yes. Thank you for that motion, Dave. Do I have a second?
Say a second.
We have a second? Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, guys. Next on the agenda is the financial interest statement update, and I will let everyone know that I submitted mine on April 15th under the deadline so that I did not have to write myself a nastygram. One of these years I want to do that, so I may have lost my opportunity. So, Mackenzie, can you give us an update?
Yeah. So let me look at my notes here. So we're doing pretty good this year. We only have 31 of 130 missing. So that's very good as far as this time of year. We sent out the first letter on January 10th. And then we tried something new this year where we sent out like a letter that was different to people who it was like their last year to file, and that seemed to motivate them to get their stuff done earlier. So we're still missing about half the candidates. So that's not good, but
No.
we'll handle that. I did just send out the next round of letters. So if you haven't turned it in yet, you might be getting one. So the next round of letters, which is essentially like a friendly, like, hey, you forgot to turn in your FIS. Could you please turn it in? Otherwise, next letter won't be so friendly. So there's that. Anybody have any questions about financial interest statements for 2023? Okay, so then we'll move on to Nicholas Hart, because that's the other update. He was our one that was delinquent from 2022, and we have tried every means of communication. I called his workplace, or where he had listed as his workplace. I can't remember where I found it. I think it was, I don't know if it was his LinkedIn or his on a previous FIS, but when I called, the woman I spoke with said that he was no longer employed there, and that last she had heard, he was incarcerated in Ohio. So we've been kind of looking for some kind of record of his incarceration, but this guy is essentially in the wind. So I'm happy to send out another letter basically saying, please get this done, but I don't know if it's going to get to him.
Delora.
If I recall correctly, but again, I might be wrong, this is a former candidate who was unsuccessful in his race, correct?
Yes.
So are we, as the commission, are we able to move to waive this requirement so as to be able to cease efforts to locate him?
Let me make a recommendation in that regards. I'm not sure that we know at this point. Ashley may, Mackenzie, you may. I don't know whether we have the power to excuse him. At the same time, I'm thinking like prosecutorial discretion. And in that regard, regardless, maybe we put that as another topic for the next meeting. And until such time, Mackenzie, don't try to track him down any further until we get
Cease and
that
desist.
clarified.
Yeah, and I can read you the section that addresses non-compliance. The Ethics Commission shall notify by certified mail each person required to file a statement of financial interest who fails to file the statement by the due date, files an incomplete statement, or files a statement in a form other than prescribed by the commission. The notice shall specify the type of failure or delinquency, shall establish a date by which the failure or delinquency shall be remedied, and shall advise the persons of the penalties for a violation. And that's all it says.
And my understanding is that we've already done that, correct, Mackenzie? That the letters that you've already sent have done that. So we arguably have complied with 2518.
I think that's a reasonable reading of that section, yes.
Well, I will then entertain a motion.
I have a question.
Oh, yes.
Who enforces the penalties? So if we have a motion to stop trying to find this man, obviously he's in violation of some law or requirement. And so is there a penalty for him or like what happens?
I think there is a penalty applicable. I think what we're talking about doing right now is just waiving the penalty in this case, as it is fruitless to continue to try to find him.
If I recall correctly, there's a financial penalty, Christine. There's a fine.
It's a fine, I think, of up to $500.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, he has to, he in theory would be fined $500. And I think LFUCG lawyers have to like go after him in court, not go after, but
Yeah.
do this matter in court. But
Collections, yeah.
I don't think we can even serve him with a lawsuit at this
But
point.
you'd have to serve him, and if we can't find him to send another letter, we can't find him to serve him.
So,
Yeah, I'm happy to say, hey, buddy, you owe us $500, but
I will entertain a motion that says, despite the Herculean efforts of the LFUC Law Department, including Mackenzie, that we have been unsuccessful in getting compliance of this person, and further efforts at compliance will be fruitless.
Will you accept a friendly amendment to the motion?
Yes.
That if the department or the commission becomes aware of his return to the jurisdiction, that we may at that point seek to
Revisit.
Deal with non-compliance.
Yes. I will accept that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I have another question. I agree. I'm in favor of it. I have another question. And maybe this is for our next meeting with regards to stuff that can be written better. Like at some point, should we get a warning order attorney, some sort of process server? I know Mackenzie did an amazing job trying to find him. It's not that, it's that if he's in jail for real, we should be able to look at Ohio records to see if he's in jail or not, or if he's just hiding out in, I don't know, Northern Kentucky.
I think though that point, Christine, I think it's a well taken point, but that civil procedure for serving him with the suit,
right,
that would be to collect the fine.
Right. But so why don't we just want to do that?
In the code. I think because our thought is that it's not worth doing for 500, but the cost of that and the resources of that might not be worth doing for $500.
So then shouldn't we just raise the cost of non-compliance? Because it would never be worth it.
It's a different question.
$1 million.
Yeah, I mean, because it's never going to be worth it, right? Because
that would be a part of the discussion for the comprehensive overview
Exactly. That
Exactly.
would be
Ethics
my
Act.
point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep, and the fact that this person never exercised any authority as either an official or employee of the urban county government is, I think, the reason why we can do this. Given the futility of trying to contact him and collect either a disclosure or a penalty for failure to disclose.
So I think that we still got a motion on the floor. I think it was
I second
approved.
it.
All in favor, say aye.
I,
Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
I just want to say two more things. I'm just gonna put all of this in, like, he has a file, so I'll put it in his file. That way, if anybody ever, has questions about his financial goings-ons or whatever, I don't know, like, we can say we tried everything, like, your open record request will find that this is what we have because this is what we have.
Or Mackenzie, I think the better reason to do it is, and you're right, is because were he to run again or be attempt to be a candidate, we would want to be able to find that.
Yeah.
Right.
And then the second thing is that Abby and I have talked about this a lot, but I think that if you're going to be revisiting the Ethics Act completely, something that I know that she and I both would be in favor of is talking also about the part about financial disclosures, because it hasn't been updated in a very long time. And there are positions in the government that didn't exist when the, code was created that definitely probably should have some kind of be looked over by somebody or have some kind of authority, just because they work, high up, they have a lot of power, et cetera, blah, blah, blah. So
yeah.
All the more reason. So the last thing, it's just a note that was in your packet. The next regular meeting is August 1, 2024. It will be my last meeting, regular one. There are 3 identified anticipated agenda items. I'm seeing that there may be others added to those. Ashley, should we send those individually by email to you if you want them added?
I would send them to Mackenzie for the
Mackenzie?
agenda, for purpose of the agenda.
Okay.
actually, send them to Abby because
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and Mackenzie, to that point, you also asked, and I don't know if we answered this question for you. You asked in your in the financial interest statement update that maybe we decide when we want Abby to send out a second letter. Would you like us to discuss and pick a date for that?
Yes, that would be great, just because I won't be here, so it'd be better if she and I have like a date that, even if I could just go ahead and print, whatever, but yes, picking a date would be best.
Shall we suggest, I mean, let's get these rolling, particularly with this being an election year. I'd say, May 20th. I don't know if that's on a weekend or not, but
If you wait until June, it might be a better idea, just because that's when we've sent them out in the past, and it's usually a letter that says, hey, if you don't have this in by this meeting, then at the November meeting, you're gonna have to show up and speak on why you didn't turn this in.
I'm happy with that. So June, okay with everyone?
Mackenzie,
I don't
you're
know if it
saying not the
requires a
August
meeting or a
but
motion.
wait, real quick, not that they show up at the November meeting, or they show up at the August meeting?
That's the November meeting. The November meeting is when they get their orders to appear if they haven't turned it in yet, but August is usually like this meeting is coming up, like that's like usually when we send out I think August is when we send out a reminder to be like, if you do not turn this in, you will have to appear in November. So
Okay,
putting a letter in
thank
June
you.
is usually like hey, this is what's going to happen if you don't turn this in by August.
Does that apply? Does that also, just thinking what AJ just said about it being an election year, does that also apply? Is that same time frame apply to candidates? Because our
I think
meeting is
so, yes.
November 2nd, so.
Yeah.
My recollection is there's no distinction for candidates or not. It's everyone's on the same schedule.
Yeah.
So to Christine's point though, about consequences and sort of impact of the enforcement, it would be 3 days before the election. So let's say we still had candidate FIS outstanding.
We could hold a special meeting, or you guys
Okay.
could in October.
Don't start with that crap now. So so we could, so if you all report to us that there are still issues with candidate statements in August, we can special meeting between August and November to take action if we need
Yeah,
to.
that would, I think that would be sufficient. So,
Okay.
I'll just say like June. Let's see. Like June 17th is a Monday. We could do it that Monday. We'll send out the letter.
That works.
AJ, do you need a motion for that, or can it just,
I don't, that's ministerial. I think we can just
Perfect.
go with it.
And I said
I mean,
earlier, send everything to Abby for the agenda, but if you do have any specific questions, please feel free to email me personally. I didn't mean to insinuate not to, but just anything for the agenda items that they actually create the agenda.
So anything else? Go ahead, Christine.
Oh, sorry, AJ. I was gonna say, should for our, I guess, administrative handbook, should it just be the second Monday in June? Because they won't, we like the fact that it's on a Monday and that it fits really well, maybe with the calendar for this year, but should it just be the second Monday in June, or should it be the 17th every year, or?
Day in June is a good option, but that's up to you guys.
Oh, it would
Let's
have just
go
been
with second
June,
Monday in
and then
June.
we pick the day every year. I don't know. I'm just
yeah, so
thinking.
perhaps we could just pick we could get a proposal for the meeting schedule for the upcoming year and then agree to that schedule on a year by year basis, because there will be some adjustments based on holidays and maybe other considerations. So I think if we did it on a year by year basis. And I would be perfectly happy to defer to Mackenzie to propose what the dates would be, and based on her schedules and what's manageable, given what she has to do to manage the commission. And then we could discuss it, in terms of approving an annual meeting schedule.
Who knows?
Certainly.
Maybe we'll have a year where everybody turns them in before they're delinquent. Who knows?
Yeah.
That's
Good luck with
that's not a bet that I'm going to make on Saturday.
ever.
So any further discussion, y'all? Well, it's been a very good discussion all evening. Thank you guys. Thanks to the law department. You guys are great. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a
Second.
motion. Do I have a second? Got second. Great seeing y'all. Happy Derby Day. Be safe.
Happy Derby
And
Day.
all in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.
Aye.
Aye.
So,
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.